stay under my umbrella. We'll make it through the storm, it don't matter the weather. Baby, can't you see a future planned with me? Cause I do see one with you. So I'ma write this song to you. I'm gonna write you a song that you could sing along for the rest of our days together. I'm gonna write you a song that you could sing along for the rest of our days together. Would you anyway, anyway, anyway? Would you anyway, way? Would you anyway, anyway, anyway? Would you anyway, way? See, I love you cause I want to, I'm not forced to. I'ma treat you like a real man is supposed to do. Eventually, I'll get down on one knee and ask you if you wanna spend your life with me. Mware no kumenya kwendete utuko na modenya. Somebody's daughter niye tunaota. My light in the darkness, baby, when in your time. I'm gonna write you a song that you could sing along for the rest of our days together. I'm gonna write you a song that you could sing along for the rest of our days together. Would you anyway, anyway, anyway? Would you anyway, way? Would you anyway, anyway, anyway? Would you anyway, way? Would you anyway, 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 way? Would you anyway, 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 anyway? Would you anyway? Oh, let me say it, part.
Would you anywhere? Would you anywhere? It's you that we love and appreciate here on 254 Radio. Yeah, come on, Askiza, to good Kenyan music. We appreciate you, we love you, and we will be playing you 24/7, 365, 100% Kenyan music. This right here is the Quorum Show, the biggest, the baddest in the Ghana show across East and Central Africa. South Africa shall dominate, and we are going for people of Seychelles. Tuliana wanaitwa Seychellois, Seychellois people. What?
We butchered the nationality yesterday.
Hey, that one, I'm still not getting that one. Seychellois people, we are coming for you. We're bringing you good Kenyan music, and we're bringing you good vibes. Today, the Mental Health Wednesday, and I am so excited because today's guest ni someone tumekuwa tukitaka kuhave for the longest time on our show. Since we started kusema tunataka kukuwa na the Quorum Show, we knew like we have these people wako kwa media, wenye wako kwa space yenye tunataka kukuwa, ama space yenye we feel like they do amazing things that we wanna do things like them. And Shalini Bhala-Lucas is one of those people. And hey, I'm excited because come on with you, Shalini. Shalini is an bestseller, author, award-winning executive producer, a podcaster, a TED Talk speaker, Engage Talk speaker, a dancer, a mindfulness teacher. She is so much. But more than that, she inspires us a lot to have the difficult conversations. And it's such an honor, Shalini, to have you here.
Thank you, Sammy. Oh my, what an introduction. I'm feeling like a little bit overwhelmed by that intro. Thank you.
We love you. You inspire us each and every day.
Thank you. I think it's because I just speak my mind.
Yes.
And there's no conversation that is off, that's barred. I speak about everything.
There ain't nothing that's off topic with Shalini.
Absolutely.
We'll talk
about
that. Everything.
It gets me into trouble, Sam.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Mary?
You've actually reminded me. I have a friend who likes saying that you have to pay for your character at times.
Yeah.
The way you've mentioned that at times speaking your mind can land you in trouble, but it's still better to do it.
Yeah, because otherwise you end up living a lie, or you end up not living your authentic self.
Yeah.
And I think life is too short for that nonsense.
Yeah.
And you will say something, people will talk about it, then they'll forget you.
Then they'll forget.
And as long as you're honest and you're not hurting anybody by speaking your truth. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
If you hurt them, they're not ready for it. Sharia.
That's their loss, right?
It's still lost, true.
I think now that I have the privilege of starting off this interview, there's a question I've been wanting to ask.
Okay. That sounds a bit scary. But
No, it's not. No, it's not. But now that I've listened to your TED Talks and also engage, I'd want to know what's the necessary context one has to understand about your early years in order for them to know who you are right now.
wow, great question. So when we say early, you mean as a child?
As a
or-
child,
Okay.
teenagehood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I was born and brought up here in Nairobi.
Okay.
And then when I was 18, I went abroad to study. But the thing that I have been really actually, I'm doing a lot of work on myself at the moment, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because I think when you get to a certain age, you're like, I'm tired of the nonsense. And my childhood comes in a lot. And I was extremely in school. I was very ambitious. My parents were very pushy parents. They expected a lot from me. Like I would come home with maybe 6 A's, 1 B and 1 C, and my mother would say, "Why did you get a C?" It wasn't like well done on the A's. It was like, "Why did you get a C?" So I think I felt a lot of pressure as a child to achieve. And that I have carried for my whole life.
Okay.
Even at 45, 46, I was still trying to achieve for everybody else. And it's only in the last 3-4 months that I'm like, I can't let my childhood conditioning dominate the rest of my life.
Okay.
So for me, it was very much my childhood, my upbringing was very, very much about achievement. Having said that, I was very lucky as a child. My parents gave us all the opportunities. So that wasn't a struggle as far as that was concerned. But the pressure of life, that has been a struggle, definitely, especially my 20s and 30s.
Okay. Oh, so you feel conditioned to keep.
Pushing.
Are we not all
succeeding.
conditioned? You tell me, are you not
we are.
conditioned?
Very
You're
much.
conditioned to achieve in life. You're conditioned by your parents to be a certain way. You're conditioned by religion. You're conditioned by society. You're
True.
conditioned as a man not to cry. You're
Not to be
conditioned not to
weak.
show your anger or weakness.
As a
True.
woman,
We are
yeah.
conditioned at every step. The minute you are a bit older, even as a child, a 3-year-old child, stand up, don't cry, be strong. That is conditioning. Yeah, don't show your anger. That is conditioning.
Sure.
And it's actually really bad for children because we grow up thinking we cannot be emotional, we cannot cry as men, we cannot show our emotion, we cannot be angry.
Yeah.
But that's a normal emotion. So for me, conditioning is something that I'm really looking at because I know I was extremely conditioned as a child, but I see it in my partner, I see it in my friends, and I know it happens across societies, across cultures, across, it doesn't matter, socioeconomic. We are all conditioned, and we
Sure.
need to stop doing that to our children.
Sure. I want to know because I think it's inevitable to condition people, to condition kids into some way, but it gets to the extremes where then it becomes indoctrination or something like that. What are the safe areas that we can operate while trying to bring up our kids?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a mother, so I can't really speak from a mother's point of view. I can talk about it from a coach's point of view, from
Yes.
somebody who's really studying this. It's not about not giving your children boundaries and teaching them good from bad and teaching them how to be happy. That's what we should be doing. And giving them a good education. But education is not just about being in school and getting your 10
A's
A's or
and
whatever,
degrees.
or whatever it is. It's about teaching them to enjoy life, to be good people, and to be happy.
Wow. Enjoy life.
And
Be good
be
people
happy.
and be happy.
Yeah, and we don't teach our children to be happy.
Nobody taught me that.
Yeah. You know what we teach our children to be?
Yes.
Successful.
True.
But what is success? Is it the money? Is it the car? Is it the house? And actually, when you achieve that, is that enough? Will you be happy?
No.
Yeah. So, and it's and actually, yes, I'm not saying success and money and the car is not important. But when that rules us, then we have a problem. But when we own the car, we're okay. But when the car owns us, You know what I mean?
That's a
Definitely
problem.
We
not
have a
okay.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to teach our children to be successful, but we have to explain to them what does success mean. And success for me, I wish my parents had said, all I want from you, Shalini, is I want you to be a good person and I want you to be happy. That is what I wanted. And
Wow.
now I'm telling myself that I want to be a good person. I want to be happy. And I do want to make a difference before I die, whether I die. And life is short. I could die tomorrow or in a year's time or in 10 years.
Sure.
In that time, I want to be a good person. I want to be happy and I want to make a difference.
Wow.
And I think I'm so happy to hear you say that, because one of the major fears I have, and I know other people from my peer group have, is not being a good parent. I don't know. I innately have that fear.
But that's conditioning, Mary.
It's conditioning.
Yeah, you're being told, you're being brought up to say, okay, you will get married, you will have children, and you mustn't screw that up. You have to be a good
Yeah.
mother. But who's to say that you won't be a good mother? What's the fear we're living in? And actually, I'm seeing it a lot in our young people here in Kenya. I mean, our suicide rate is through the roof.
Yep.
And the reason is our young people are feeling so much pressure to be a good daughter, a good son, a good student,
Yep.
a good business person, then a good mother and a good wife or a good husband. Who
Too
is
much.
what is this pressure we're putting? Yeah. What about just a good person and a successful person as per my rules of success, not as per society's rules of success?
Sure.
And I feel that our young people, not just in Kenya, all over the world, it's tough. It's a tough time to be growing up, I think.
Yes.
Social media shows everybody leading the best life, having the best time, having the best cars in the houses. And
Yes.
it's really tough. And I fear for our young people in Kenya, because young people in their 20s and 30s are saying, I can't do this anymore.
Yep.
And that, for me, that breaks my heart, because I've only been in Kenya for 3.5 years, having come back after 20 odd years. And I just hear stories from people all the time. I know people whose sister has died by suicide,
Sure.
and it's tragic. It's taking. It's, for me, this is the real pandemic. Mental health in Kenya
It's
and
the real
globally is the
pandemic.
real pandemic.
Sure.
Yeah, I totally agree, because we have so much to deliver at such a young age.
Yeah.
At times, I personally feel like I'm doing too much for
Yeah.
a 20-year-old.
Yeah, I mean,
True.
look at you, right? And it's just for me. 20 should be the time we're discovering ourselves. And
Making
I
mistakes.
was teaching in a college. I was a waitress. This is in England. I was a waitress, and I was doing a master's degree at the age of 21.
Wow.
Okay, and I was teaching in a college as well at
Wow.
21. So, and doing a full-time master's degree, as well as waitressing, as well as my mom. I was staying in my mom's house, but I was there on my own, so I had 2 lodgers looking after them. At 21, who needs that pressure at 21? But that's the kind of pressure we're putting on our young people. Instead of saying, this is the time you should be enjoying your life, learning life. I'm not saying don't work. I'm not saying don't
Experimenting,
study.
make
Experimenting,
mistakes.
making the mistakes.
Sure.
As a child, I was too scared to make mistakes. And I was so worried about disappointing my parents, society, family, and myself, that I have carried that through my life. And that kind of mental, that pressure on your head is just, it's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot.
I want to talk about, the pressure of the society is a lot, but we know you as this rebel kind of person. Yeah. And you had been conditioned. You say that by the time you are landing in England, you're this good Indian girl, and now you about to go at odds with everything that you believe in, your family,
Yeah.
your religious views,
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. You've done your research, huh?
I think I have. I want to know, does it take someone a course huge enough to make you walk out of conformity?
Yeah, I'm going to be very, very sappy here. For me, it was love.
Oh,
I fell in
yes.
love with a man who was completely wrong on paper for me. I was this good Muindi girl who'd landed in England. I was just going to study. And then I met Jeremy. He was Mzungu. He was older than me. He was divorced. He had 3 children from his first marriage. You can imagine my parents. I mean, you can imagine, right?
Oh,
Mary, can you
I
imagine if you
can.
brought a man home like that?
Very
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I brought home, and my family refused to accept him. So for me, I was like, well, and I tried to leave him, and I was like, at the
I
end of the day, I
cannot.
just can't. I love him so much, and we're meant to be together. And we were together for 19 years till he passed away. And so I always say that my family was wrong and I was right to rebel. But that rebellion came with huge cost. I lost my family. I lost my extended family. I lost my relationship with my mother, which now, even today, does now not exist at all. So for me, it came at a huge loss, but I don't regret it because it gave me 19 years with this wonderful man. And I think maybe I'd have done things differently. I might have wanted to reconcile and stuff. But I think when you really know your heart, this is the right thing, then nobody should tell you otherwise, whether that's your parents or society or whatever. If you really, really, truly believe this is the right thing for you, then, and I did. At 21, I knew that was the man I wanted to be with. And yeah, he gave me 19 amazing years. And he passed away from cancer almost 7 years ago now. I always say that to know him, to be with him it wasn't just my destiny, it was a true blessing.
Wow.
And I would have lost that had I taken my parents'
conformity
advice.
to-
Yeah, if I'd conformed to what society expected of me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
This is actually amazing. No, at times we think that what our parents have scripted for us is what's
The
that's
best for
actually
us.
right.
And the best.
And I'm actually happy to hear that there's someone who went, took another path from what the parents were doing. And we face this a lot as young people. There are times you're doing a course at the university, but you know very well you're probably not going to practice it, but your parents will hear none of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know, I'd like to know what gave you peace during that moment when you knew your parents are not accepting this in any way, but you still have to do it.
So there was no peace. It was a real struggle. And as a result, for years, I suffered from depression. I was hospitalized with depression and clinical depression and stress. And it was only in my 30s when I was like, actually, I'm a very lucky person. I have a very good life with Jeremy. And I think that's when I came, and I was doing really well in my work. The other thing, you're talking about course at university. When I was 16, I said to my mom, I want to be a dancer. And she said, a dancer or a psychologist. And she said, no good Indian girl should be a dancer.
Sure.
And then she said, psychologist, there's no reason for psychology in Kenya. At that time, there was nothing like that.
Yeah.
So she was wrong on both counts. I mean, if I was a psychologist, I'd be making a lot of money in Kenya right now.
Hey.
But also, as a dancer, in my late 20s, I opened my dance training program in
Just
the UK,
June.
Just June. And it went on to become one of the most popular dance programs in Kenya. So my mother was wrong about that. So your parents, I'm not saying you don't take their guidance, but it should be guidance. They are not
Final say.
they're
Don't
not
dictate.
dictators,
Okay,
right?
okay,
And they have lived life, so they will have learned lessons, but they live in a different time. We are young at a different time. Our parents were young at a different time. So what applied to them doesn't apply to the youth today, right? So I'm not saying don't take guidance, but it is just guidance. And we are here on this earth to make our own mistakes. Our parents cannot shield us from those mistakes, and they shouldn't.
Wow.
So if you decide, I don't want to do that course, and okay, you don't do that course, and then it backfires, and it's your mistake, it's your mistake.
Yep.
And if your parents want to say, I told you so, Sawa, tell them, they can say, I told you so, but it's still your mistake to make.
Sure.
And your parents can't, that whole like dictating, I'm the mother, I'm the father, they don't own you. They bring you into this life, they birth you, they bring you up, they should, that's their obligation, but then they need to let you fly. And if they, how does a bird fly if you keep chaining it?
Doesn't.
It can't, right? You have to let that bird go. And I think parents need to realize, and I think, but unfortunately, parents are ruled by fear, the fear of, is Mary going to be okay? She's going to make the right. So it's fear. So it's your duty as a child to go, no, it's my life. We have to be, as children, we have to be strong enough to stand in our truth. And that's where the problem is. Children today are not able to stand in their truth. And when I say children, I mean young people from 18 onwards. We're just too scared of disappointing our families, our parents, etc.
True.
But I think we have to get away from that conditioning, disappointing our parents.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have. I wanna ask something. You know, you go at odds with your beliefs, with your community, with your parents, and now it comes a time that you're maturing and you start to realize, you know, maybe these people really were not doing this out of malice, out of bad will. They just wanted the best for me. They just didn't know what the best for me. And you wanna forgive them. How did that come about for you? That healing process too.
You'll have to ask me in 10 years. Because I'm still working
on that.
So what happened was, I mean, the
Yes.
first kind of reconciliation happened. I hadn't spoken to my parents for 12 years.
Whoa.
And then I messaged my dad and said, Jeremy and I are coming to Kenya because we want to visit. I want to show him where I was born and where I lived and where I went to school and my sister and everything.
This is after 12 years.
After 12 years of not having contact with them.
Oh my God.
And my dad said, and I said, so I'm coming to Nairobi and I want to tell you because Nairobi is a small place and somebody will see me and they'll mention it to you. And he said, no daughter of mine is coming to Kenya and not going to be part of, will come and stay.
family.
They will come and stay with me. So that was his way of reconciling, and we reconciled. Had I forgiven them not accepting Jeremy, I am working on it still. My father is no longer alive. He died. But now my mother doesn't accept my current partner because we're not married. And in Indian society, not to be married and to be living together is a big sin in her eyes, and in the Christian religion as well. So again, I am, in her eyes, disappointing her. But I'm just living my life. So have I forgiven my parents for not accepting Jeremy? I'm still working on it. Have I forgiven my parents for abandoning me when I chose Jeremy? I'm still working on it. And that's the truth. I can't say to you, yeah, it's all roses and sugar and spice. It's not. It's forgiveness is
It's a process.
Is a process, and it takes a long time. And I'm working really hard. But it will come, I know. The thing I have to do first is perhaps, and I've really worked on myself, is to forgive myself first, because for many years I thought I had been a disappointment. So I've done that, but now I have to find a way to then forgive the other, and that's taking longer. Yeah. There's a really good forgiveness prayer called the Ho'oponopono. I don't know if you've heard it, where you say,
No.
I forgive you, I forgive myself, I love you, please forgive me, kind of thing. So and thank you. So it's like an affirmation, and you say it with the thought of the person in mind.
I forgive you.
yeah.
I forgive myself.
So I forgive you, please forgive me. I love you, thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And also, just from what you've said, you also had to break the barriers that we have due to religion and all the, expectations that are pressed on us because you're Christian, you're Hindu, you're Buddhist. How has that been also for you?
So I was born a Hindu child, and that's the thing. We're born a child,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
We're brought up a child.
A
So I was brought
Christian
up
child,
a Hindu child. Yeah.
yes.
You don't have a choice. It's
Yes.
like it's thrust upon you. And then when my mother decided she didn't like Hinduism anymore, she became a Christian. And then all her beliefs and her judgments were based on Christianity. So she expects me now to go by her rules. And I'm like, this is nonsense. You brought me up as a Hindu child, and then you're now Christian, so you expect me to go your way. It doesn't make sense. But also in my 20s, I read a book called The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins.
Richard Dawkins, a very
Yeah.
famous
Yeah.
atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly that. A very, very famous atheist. And I was like, oh my goodness, there is no God. And I became an atheist for a while. But actually, the whole time I was saying I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God. both Jeremy and I were very uncomfortable with that. He was Christian, not practicing, but believed in Christianity. And I just didn't feel comfortable with it. So I decided I need to find my own path. Christianity didn't work for me. Atheism wasn't working for me. Hinduism didn't work for me. So I decided to go down the spiritual path. So I don't prescribe to an organized religion. I just believe that Christ had amazing teachings. Buddha had amazing teachings. Muhammad had amazing teachings. What we as human beings have decided to create religions and isms, Buddhism, Hinduism, and we have divided ourselves by religion, which I think is crazy because we all bleed the same blood. I think we need to stop doing that. It'll never happen in our lifetimes. Religion is too ingrained. I think we have to decide, I think we have to just think that my religion for me is, like I say, to be a good person, to make a difference. And I will read Christ's teachings, I will read Buddha's teachings, and I will take from it what I believe is right for me. So I am very much, especially now in the last year, I've really gone down the spiritual path of what...
The rabbit hole.
Yeah, really, that rabbit hole of spirituality. What does it mean for me? And it's very exciting. It's very exciting too.
Amazing. I want to know, just because you've mentioned that, what do you think is God ultimate consciousness?
Yes. Yeah. So, again, the word God, I'm going to get into a lot of trouble, aren't I? Especially in a religious country like Kenya, where people are very religious, right? Yes. Christianity is a huge religion here.
Sure.
And I am not saying you don't believe in whatever you want to believe in. What you decide to call them is up to you. I choose not to use the word God because God, for me, is problematic. It's male. Usually you think of a white God sitting up there, right?
A physical
man.
Yes.
Or man.
True.
I don't want that. I want it to be just that consciousness, an energy, a higher being, a divine energy that I cannot put a picture on, that I cannot say that's a man, a woman, a thing. It's just an energy. Because I think it would be too arrogant for us to say there is nothing bigger than us. No. There is definitely something bigger than us. You look at like a beautiful flower. Who created that? Right? It's not just science.
Yes.
It's more than science.
You look at the beautiful pictures and the arrangement and geometry and everything going around
symmetry,
the sun.
The thing, just the world itself.
Yeah.
So I believe in a divine power. I believe in a higher energy, a source, a truth. I just don't choose to call it God. And I don't choose to worship that God via a religion. In fact, I don't worship. I invoke blessings. I invoke guidance. I invoke protection and healing and help and everything. I do invoke that every day, but it's just to a higher being. So I can't picture it, but I can feel it.
You can feel, yeah.
Amazing people. We have just started the conversation with Shalini Bhala-Lucas right here on 254 Radio. Honest, just to play one song, and we will be back with this conversation. I want us to talk a little bit about her writing and her production, because that is something that she does and she does good. So we will be back in a bit on the Quorum Show. Mental health. We need to praying right now. Nyashinsky, lift me up.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, every time you're around me, I feel love. Another one for my one and only. Another one for my one and only. Another classic. We got another one. We got another one. Hey, I feel love. So no, Nyashinsky, I'm addicted to love. Hey, can you guess what mood I'm in? Need you like my oxygen. Let's go somewhere we can be, just you and me, some privacy. When you say my name, spaceship, rocket, paper plane, higher than I've ever been. Oh, Rasta never felt this way. Oh no, it's true. See, I'm in the villa, nani do. Kawaida mina playing it cool. Kawaida mina playing it cool, but I'm so foolish when it comes to you. When it comes to you, you
sikuplan kugo this deep kufika hii stage skwangi mtu neka feelings zangu kwa display but kwa future naona party na wedding cake kunyu kitu perfect inaweza happen by mistake I be the realest skudanganyi but you can't be the realest bila honey kujiambia loneliness never killed a G na compensate na chain mingi kama Mr. T yeah. Unaweza guess ile muda min nasikia tutafute beach mali cool again tukapigwe na Caprice kama do the again please never leave again well, lift me up anytime I'm down every time you're around me I feel love baby I'm addicted to you lift me up anytime I'm down every time you're around me I feel love baby I'm addicted to loving you it's true siamini vile unanidu kawaida mina playing it cool kawaida mina playing it cool but I'm so foolish when it comes to you when it comes to you you lift me up anytime I'm down every time you're around me I feel love baby I'm addicted to you lift me up anytime I'm down every time you're around me I feel love baby I'm addicted to loving you.
There was Nyashinsky with Lift Me Up right here on 254 Radio, the Quorum Show. And the time is 3:01 p.m. East African time. My name is ABORN, Mr. Sami MUTHONDU. I'll be hosting this show with the talented, the fantabulous, the gorgeous. They are amazing.
Very OWINO and
Yes.
then those adjectives.
All
I should
all
also
them
introduce you one
adjectives.
of these days.
Tafadhali nitafutia adjective. I would love to see that.
The
And
amazing Mary with a nose ring. Off air, we were
That's
talking about how she
futuristic.
wanted to.
I'm working on that.
Now, I just remember that today is World Press Freedom Day.
Nice.
And because all of us are in that space of media and press, this research that has been done, and Kenyans think that 3/4 of Kenyans think that the media has attained media freedom, but 1/4 of Kenyans still believe we have a long way to go. And I want to ask Shalini, what do you think about that?
I think journalism in this country has a long way to go. I lived in the UK for 25 years, where journalism is of a very high standard. So when I read stuff here in the papers, and I can tell that some of them are paid articles,
Yes.
and I think the journalistic integrity in this country is lacking.
Yes.
I think because one, we're scared of saying what we want to say. Two, we're often not we, but journalists are looking for a bit of money on the side because they're so poorly paid. I'm not saying across the board. We still have good media outlets, but they're not necessarily Kenyan based. If look at our media houses, they're usually owned by big people and politicians,
True.
etc. Right?
Yeah.
So how can you then have journalistic integrity? It's just like America. I think the journalism in America sucks, but I think UK is a lot better. UK holds its businesses, its politicians, its people accountable.
Too. They won't be afraid to criticize the Queen, the King, anyone else.
Oh my gosh, the Guardian at the moment in England is like slating King Charles. Like he earns billions and he's expecting taxpayers to pay for his coronations. It's a nonsense.
True.
But you wouldn't be able to say that in this
In
country.
Kenya, you cannot.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you'll be scared of your life. I mean, how many journalists do we know that have actually paid with their lives? So I think journalism has a long way to go.
It
But
does.
I understand we're living in fear. Again, it's fear. So I think everything, politics, journalism, we have a long way to go.
How about you, Mary?
I think on my side, I'd agree with what Shalini has said, but also recognize the fact that we've also come a long way, especially if you compare during the former president Moi's reign.
That's true.
That time things were really limited, and people were even fearful to talk about him in their own homes.
True.
My parents tell me these stories, and I'm
And
really
I'm like,
surprised.
how is this not like a story from a bad storybook or what?
No, you're so right. You're so right. But do you not feel we are kind of going back to that?
There,
a little bit?
true. I feel like we're sliding back there. I just remembered because of that World Press Day. I just remembered just before we went for the elections, we saw our media stations like opening up and showing us the real owners of media stations. Like you would see one media station with these results, one media station just following one.
ludicrous.
It was crazy, and I was like, is this the National Informer?
But also, the one difference I would say that's different now to other regimes is social media.
Yeah.
We do
True.
have Twitter, we do have platforms where
Facebook,
people
blogs
are
and
willing to
vlogs.
talk a little bit more and wow, Twitter is tough space here in Kenya.
Especially in
Brutal.
Kenya,
It's brutal.
right?
It's brutal. But I think if we can turn that brutality toward, and I say brutality not in a violent way, but with our words to our politicians and hold them accountable, we do really well. We're just not doing it. I don't know. I feel like it will take time.
It will take time.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And still, if you still compare Kenya with other East African countries like Uganda, Uganda is still in that fearful state.
Absolutely.
Same to Rwanda.
Sure.
And at times, it just depends on the country you're comparing us to. Of course, if we're compared to the UK, we are still far off. But if you compare us to our neighbors, most of them are envious of how
the
much we
freedom we
can
have.
report and how much we can talk about politicians. So all we can do is hope for the best.
I think you're absolutely right, Mary. I come to this from a very kind of UK-centric outlook because of where I live for 20 odd years.
Sure.
So when I look at the journalism there and journalism here, it's like almost years and
We
years
have
apart.
two.
But I think you're right. When we look at Uganda and Rwanda and compare it to Kenya, we are very lucky.
Yep.
We are much more open. We're a little, I think as a nation, as a people, we don't want this nonsense.
Yeah.
Whereas Rwanda, people are scared. Uganda, people are scared, especially with the laws coming through now that are kind of changing society. It's very frightening what's happening. I feel like the world, I look at Indian politics because it interests me. We're going backward. Countries like India are going backward, right? In their policies, in the way they treat people, in the way they treat religion, in the way they
Democracy.
treat it as a democracy, right? The way they treat Muslims, the way they treat LGBTQ communities. I think many countries are going backwards. It's a shame.
Okay.
Well, I
What
just
thoughts?
wish that we can have more spaces where we can talk a little more without filters in our media spaces. I hope that we start evolving and like we stop recycling the same old media personalities we had 30 years ago.
But then that's your job, right? You are the youth of today. You're the young people. You're the future of journalism, right? Not me in my 40s now who's ready to like go and sit in Nanyuki and read books. So yeah, I'm done.
Some wine.
But you guys are the future of journalism. So you have to be the ones who treat this with the respect and the privilege and the integrity that journalism deserves. And I think, I'm not saying we're not seeing it with some, but it's not with many. And now we need to make sure the majority of journalists are that way. But again, I think there's a lot of change to be had. It's exciting though.
It is.
Because this is opportunity, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Let's get back to mental health talk. Mental Health Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we start by asking the questions we did get, or maybe we can start with that.
Sure.
A few questions.
Sure.
So the first question that we did get is someone who wanted to know how the tragic news that we get bombarded with every day is affecting the collective consciousness.
It's a great question because news is depressing.
Oh, tell me about it.
So let me explain to you how I understand that the body and the energy body works, right? You get a news item that is tragic. I mean, if you look at what happened in Kilifi recently, right?
Yes.
And you watch that and you read it and stuff, and you're filled with sadness and fear, and your body then consumes that, and you don't know what to do with that. What happens is your body and your mind begin to manifest in kind of dis-ease. So I will then suppress that fear or that pain or that sadness, and I will then have high blood pressure or heart disease or diabetes or even cancers are being known to come out of stress that we put our bodies. One of the most stressful things that happens in our lives are the news that we're consuming on a daily basis. And it's very difficult to not be consumed by it because it's on your TVs, it's in your newspapers, and it's on social media. And also you'll come to work and you'll say, did you hear what happened yesterday?
True.
That bus got burnt or whatever. And so you know that this is happening around you. What I would say is, this is how I do it. I will watch the news. I choose how much I consume. And then I say, okay, done for today. I am not consuming. So I will often on my Instagram look at the BBC News, KTN, and Standard Media. So those are my kind of
news.
Look at that, and maybe something from Radio Africa. So maybe the Star. So that's what I will look at, and it will be like 15 minutes of my day, and then I don't want to know. Okay, and I will then process that. I'm feeling really sad about what happened in Kilifi. I'm going to process that. I'm going to get it out of my system, and I'm going to go, I can't do anything about that. Perhaps I can put them in my prayers tonight, but I can't do anything about it, so I'm not going to hold on to it. So we have to, one, limit what we consume, and two, process what we're feeling, and not let it eat us up inside. I think fear, living in this country, there's often a lot of fear, right? What's happening with Mandamana today? What's happening with whatever? The economy is such a big conversation at the moment. These are all fear. The media feed off your fear, and they feed off sensationalism. So that's what they'll give you. I mean, how often do you see a good media news article?
Doesn't happen.
And then we get consumed by it, and so we continue to watch it, like, okay, what's happening in Kilifi? What's happening there? No, stop. You are in control of what you consume.
Wow. No, I want to know what's like in the collective consciousness, like what can we start to expect like around our societies if this is all the kind of news that we get and consume?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I really felt like over COVID, things were changing. People were becoming more conscious, that collective consciousness and really thinking about what life was really about. And then the world opened up again, and everybody went back to
normality,
a new normal. But it was like on that hamster wheel again, and hustle. You know, we have such a hustle culture in Nairobi and stuff. And so people have lost that quiet, retrospective time. I want people just to know that and think that there's more to life than this hustle. There's more to life than being on a rat race or on this hamster wheel. Just stop and think, why am I doing this? For whose good am I doing this? For what collective consciousness and collective good am I doing? I don't know. I'm a bit pessimistic when I speak to my other friends in mental health and in spiritual work and stuff. They're a bit more optimistic. They feel that the collective consciousness in the world has changed. I'm less optimistic. I think we have a long way to go. So yeah.
Wow. So I want to ask you the second question. And the second question was from a guy called Bonnie, and he wanted to know that if we are raising weak men, I don't know why he wants to know that.
Are we raising weak men? Is that the question?
Yes.
I hope we're raising men who are more in touch with their feelings. I think we're raising men who don't always respect women. Who don't always understand that we are equal. And I'm not just saying in this country, I think generally. I don't think it's weakness. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to know what he means by weakness. If it's a man showing that he's crying or in touch with his feelings, to me, that's not weak. That's actually quite a strong man. If you were here and you cried about something, I think that was vulnerable and that's strength. So I don't think that's weak. But I do think that we need to teach our young boys and men about equality. I think women have it tough. I really do. I think women are having to be stronger just to get. I don't know, Mary. What do you think? I think women in this country have it tough.
They do.
Yes, for sure. Yesterday, as we were having a conversation on how we've created stereotypes in our head, and I was telling Sam how at times for women, it's hard for you to engage with men on an intellectual level because all they're saying is beauty, all they're saying is that you're curvy and you have you have a nice body, and at times that's not the attention you want to bring to yourself. At that point, there are times you want to speak your mind and you want people to appreciate what the work you've done, not how you look, because you really don't have any control on that. So when people price every value that you have on how you look and how your makeup is done, how is your hair looking, it can really bring you down. I've had friends who really get stressed when they have acne breakouts because the kind of lady that's been told your skin is so smooth, I like it. And so when you have a breakout, you feel like a part of you has actually been taken away. And that's actually part of the pressure. That's part of the pressure that we have. And also the fact that you have to do more, you have to try contain your emotions at any given point, because you'll be told you're too loud.
You're too aggressive, you're too
angry.
Emotional, is it your time of your month? It's all that nonsense, right? A woman has to look a certain way, she must speak a certain way, she must dress a certain way, she must be this kind of daughter, she must be this kind of friend, she must be this kind of wife, she must be this. The nonsense that is put on us as women is ridiculous. So and often put on us by ourselves because of conditioning. Okay, by our parents, by society, by men. I'm pointing at Sam. Sorry, Sammy. I don't mean you. But I think we put there's a lot of pressure on women to be a certain way, and I think we as women need to go enough's enough. But that will take time because Kenya is a patriarchal society. I don't care what anybody says. It is a patriarchal society.
It is.
Okay, we look at our religion, look at our politics, look at the society in general, look at business, very male dominated. And women have to work 10 times as hard and probably not paid as much to get to the same places. So, and it's not just Kenya, it's across the world. Right now in some Western countries, women are getting equal pay, but they're fighting for it. But you look at actors in Hollywood, an actor and a female actor will be paid differently, right? Because he's male, he gets more money. So I just feel like, I don't know when the tables are going to turn. I don't know if they're going to, but it's time for mothers to bring up their sons to really respect women. And it's up to women to change how the men in their families think.
Wow.
And also feel like at times the society really requires a lot from us. We are supposed to be mothers. We're supposed to nurture the family, while at the same time we're also trying to build our own careers.
Exactly.
So I've actually ever asked my mom if it's possible to be good at your career, a good mom, a good wife, and still a good daughter. Because I'm yet to see someone who has
I actually don't think, and I'm your listenership might not like this, it's very controversial, I'm controversial. I don't think we can have it all. I think if we push ourselves to have the career and be the best mom and be a domestic goddess, a goddess in the kitchen and a goddess in the bedroom, it's not possible. Okay, who is putting pressure on us? Ourselves and society and conditioning. You will grow up to be a wife, a mother, but you'll also have a career. And you'll also I don't think it's possible to have everything, and I think we as women need to take that pressure off us. If we want to have a career, do the career, And then if you want to have children, take a career break and be a mother.
And it should be okay.
And it should be absolutely okay to stay at home and be a mom, because a mom is a really important job. If I don't want to work and I don't want to have children and I want to be a housemaker, then don't judge me.
Yep.
If I want to cook all day and bake all day, or I want to sit and watch Netflix all day and my husband's providing for me, don't judge me. I'm making that choice.
Sure.
But I'm going to do if I'm going to be a career woman, then don't judge me for not having children. I've been judged as an Indian woman for not having children. Why? What's wrong with you? Can you not have children? And when I say, well, no, actually, I don't want children. Oh my God. How can you not want children? The whole point of being a woman is to be a mother.
Come on.
Since when? I mean, in whose eyes? You know? So I chose that my career was more important for me, and I stand by that. And not having, now I'm too old to have children, it's such a relief that pressure. Now if somebody says, why haven't you got children? Well, actually I'm too old to have children. So, okay. Then they don't know what to say. So they're like, oh, okay. So yeah, I think we as women have to make decisions for ourselves. Stop letting the husband and the society and your mother and your dad make decisions for you.
Amazing. We have another question from Marlon Vuga, and he wanted to know if you can share one of the most inspiring stories you have encountered or worked with as a life coach.
Oh my word. So I have worked a lot for a charity called Widowed and Young in the UK, and it's all people who have lost their wives or their husbands or their partners, spouses under the age of 50. And I have worked with a lot of, or come across a lot of, when Jeremy died, I was 40. So to be widowed at 40, I was like, oh my gosh, that's awful. But I have met and made friends with widows who've lost, one widow in particular, she lost her husband sort of maybe 2 years into marriage, and she was pregnant. And the father, her husband had, I think it was a heart attack or whatever it was, he died. And she had to bring up this baby on her own. And for me, those kind of stories are extremely heartfelt. They're extremely inspiring, that despite everything, in spite of losing this person that you think you're going to go old with, your first priority was that child. And she just gave all her attention to this child. The child is older now. And it's not just her. I've seen this story again and again. One of the other stories that and it's not through my life coaching, it's actually a woman here called Rosalind Orwa. She was widowed here. She was actually married to a politician. And she set up the Rona Foundation in Weston. And she now supports widows in Weston against a lot of cultural norms that are not acceptable, like sexual cleansing. One of the things that happens here in some aspects of this culture is that widows will be stripped of their inheritance, their children, etc. And she fights for their rights. So for me, that's very inspiring. I have so many people that have inspired me through, not just through life coaching, but also through my podcast, Mindfulness, Music and More. A lot of inspiring people who have put a friend of mine lost her husband in a shooting, and she always says to me, Shalini, I have decided to change my pain into power and positivity, into purpose and positivity. Those kind of people inspire me to do just even through pain, to inspire others, to make other people's lives better.
Amazing. Marlon, I hope your question has been answered. And the last question I think that we will take on this section is someone who wants to know how to get out of a codependent relationship.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, so first you have to have the strength. I'm assuming it's a toxic codependence.
Yes, a toxic
okay, because codependency or interdependency, I don't think is a bad thing. But it's when that dependency is definitely one-sided. So perhaps somebody is more dominant and you are more dependent on this person. So the first thing I would say is you have to make that decision. Once you know you want to go, you do everything in your place to go. And that is, you may need to get help from friends and family to help you get out of a relationship that's toxic, you need to put your finances in order. You're not going to be able to do this without money.
Yes.
Are there children involved? If there are, who are you going to get help from? Because you can't do this on your own. And your safety, and if you have children, their safety is the most important thing. So the first thing you need to think about is your safety and how you're going to get out of this. Because I don't know what this relationship is, but I'm just saying generally, you think about, how do I get out of this relationship safely? But I will say this, do not stay in a toxic relationship. Whether it's a marriage or a relationship between you and your parents that is toxic, that's a friendship, whether it's a girlfriend, boyfriend. Life is too short to be in a relationship that is toxic. So whoever this person is, if it's a toxic codependent relationship that's not working for you, find the courage, find the help, ask for help, get out.
Get out.
Okay.
Amazing. I want us to just switch the gears a little bit. We'll play one song and then we come back and talk about your writing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
I also have
because
questions.
tunaona vitabu kwa meza, came with the books.
I brought you some books.
Yes, and we will talk about that in the next break. It's 3:25 right here on 254 Radio. My name is MUTHONDU and I'm hosting the show with Mary OWINO, and we have the amazing Shalini Bhala-Lucas with us. Playing right now is Zinaya Manasseh, When It's Over.
Yay. Stops. I'm frozen in the moment. My full thoughts. You didn't know what I meant. You blew it over. It's not for your enjoyment. It's not for your enjoyment. I know that it's on purpose, 'cause it makes me feel so worthless. I still fall for your trap, set myself up for a recap. I still fall for your trap, set myself up for a recap. But I'll take the heat, make you think it's not the last time. But I'll be alright, 'cause when it's all over, I'm done. I'm done. I am done. I'm done.
That was irresistible. That was Zinaya Manasseh with When It's Over. And that's Mary OWINO's favorite Zinaya Manasseh song.
Beautiful.
Very, very
Loved
much.
it.
You loved it?
Yeah.
It's an amazing song.
You're welcome.
Thanks for hooking up with some
I
good
have
Kenyan
revamped
music.
your playlist.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. And you tuned in to the biggest, the baddest in the Ghana show across East Central South Africa to me dominate. And we're going for Sishelu people. Sishelua. And we're bringing you good Kenyan vibes. And today's Mentor Talk, Wednesday. And in the building we have Shalini Bhala-Lucas.
And me, Mary OWINO.
Yes.
I feel like we missed something. We said the amazing. What happened, Sammy? You missed out.
The talent,
I'm sorry, we were
the
waiting
adjectives are escaping, man. The amazing, the talented Mary OWINO.
Yeah, now we are into the... Is this the quarter bit of the
Yes,
show?
the last half
The
hour.
last half of the hour. And now I'm seeing amazing things on this particular table. I'm an avid book reader. So
Okay.
whenever I see books, I get
Wanna read.
pumped. I
Yes.
get pumped. Please spoil us.
Okay,
I'd want to know. I'm sure every author has their best book.
Okay, so I've written 3. I'm writing my fourth one, which I hope to.
congrats.
So it's hard labor, but I do enjoy writing.
Yes.
So this is my first book, Always With You.
Amazon bestseller.
It's an Amazon bestseller. Yeah, it became an Amazon bestseller 3 months after it was published.
Wow.
And it's a story about love, loss, and hope. It's very much my journey on meeting Jeremy, not being in touch with my family for 12 years, and then Jeremy's cancer, his death, my bereavement, spiritual journey. So as you can see, it's probably the thickest book. And I have never, after it was published, I've read it a few times at book readings, but I've never read it through because it's a very painful book. I'll make you laugh, I'll make you cry, I talk about all kinds of things. But at the end of it, I hope that you come out with hope. I mean, that's Jeremy there. So this is, and it's an easy read. You can hear I'm sure, Mary, if you read it, I've been told this again and again, that people can hear my voice because it is my voice. So it's a memoir, and yeah, there you go. I'll sign it for you, and it's yours to take.
Ooh, amazing.
Oh my lord.
But you will have to tell me what you think. That's the only thing.
I will.
So, great. And then my second book was after Jeremy died. For a whole year, I was a recluse. I really abused myself in terms of I drank a lot. I took drugs, painkillers, alcohol, and I ate rubbish food to try and fill a void. But for a year, I was like, I just didn't even leave the house. And then I came and I spread Jeremy's ashes here in Nanyuki, because that's where we were going to retire to. He wanted to live in Nanyuki. And then when I went back, I started writing this book, and writing this book was very cathartic. And then just as I was finishing this book, my father also died from cancer. So that was another journey. And then a few months after that, I was like, okay, I'm ready to live again. Because writing this book was very cathartic. So what does every woman do when they want to be happy? They look for happiness in a man, which is so silly. Because, men, so I did a lot of dating for 7 months, and I dated a lot of guys. Sometimes
21 in 7 months.
You've really done
That's
it.
a record.
I actually watched the TED Talk yesterday and we were laughing the whole time.
We were like, what?
Uncle Socks or
Yeah, exactly that, ankle socks. So yeah, 21 guys I dated. Like, some were like, I met, like there was one guy that I met again and again, and there was one guy I had a coffee with and thought, I never want to see you again in my life because you're a really, really strange guy. So the 21 were like, from a coffee to like 3, 4, 5
Dates.
months of dates, right?
Nice.
And then I got hurt by a guy, and I was like, I've had enough of this. It was a lot of fun though.
Yes.
So I wrote my second book, Online Dating at 40, and I talk about ankle socks in here.
Yes.
Italian style.
Knobhead, nut jobs, and the nice guys.
So I met a lot of knobheads, a lot. There's some, and a lot of nut jobs. There's some crazy people out there. And maybe maybe 1 or 2 nice guys. So
One or two nice guys. Wow.
So I write about them in here. It's a very easy read. It's funny. I talk very openly about sex. I talk very openly about relationships. And for an Indian girl to write a book like this was a big taboo.
Yes.
But I talk very openly about how, as a society, we're very repressed when we come to talk about sex. We think that it's just to procreate, and women especially are really subjected to judgment on how we view sex. And I think men have some men, not all, have a very unhealthy view of what sex is. So I talk about some of those issues in this book. And then I changed gears. So I went from a memoir to a funny memoir.
Experience.
To my first self-help book, which is Happiness Is It Simply a Mindset Shift. So after I finished this book and it got published, I realized I was not happy. And the reason I was never going to find or be in a relationship again is I had to first find happiness for myself. So I found 10 techniques that worked for me. I created happiness for myself, and then I wrote about it in my third book.
Amazing.
So this is a self-help book, and I talk about the 10 techniques, from meditation to exercise to eating well to compassion to altruism to practicing gratitude. So they're all in this. Those are my 3 books. And then my 4th book, which I hope will come out in June maybe, is going to be about abundance, how to create abundance in your life.
Amazing. Let me
So-
tell you that is my word for this year.
Ah.
Like I did pick a word at the start of every year.
So do I.
That's-
Yeah. Mine is
Wow.
introspection.
Introspection. You have a word for yourself.
Consistency.
Wow.
Consistency
Nice.
has been
Nice.
my
So,
mantra.
I'm looking forward to abundance.
Oh,
Fabulous. So you'll have to get my book.
I
So
will have.
the abundance is about abundance of everything, right? Which is money and health and happiness
Happiness.
and relationships and whatever you want it to be. It's abundance of that. But what I would say to you is that if you get money and it's abundant, it will not stay with you if the rest of the jigsaw is not in place. If your health is not in place, what point is millions and millions and millions of shillings,
the
right?
hospital.
Exactly. So it's finding abundance in all aspects of your life, and so that's what I'm writing at the moment.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing. Let's talk about another thing that you do and you do good. And first of all, congratulations on the Manic Monologues.
Yeah.
You sold out like 3 days of theater,
Yes, 5 shows.
5 shows.
Yeah.
And you had such an amazing lineup from Nick Denda, Chris Joda, Vikash Patni. You know, everyone that we have grown seeing in the media, they were in your production. I want you to tell me a little bit about your passion for theater.
So I've never done anything like this before. I worked in a small arts center in the UK. So I was surrounded by dance and passion, dance and theater and music. So I was very passionate about watching. I am a dancer by profession in that I had Just Joom and I had taken a show to Edinburgh Fringe Festival as well in 2008. But I'd never done anything like this. And then I went to see a show by Mbeki Mwalimu. You might know her. She's a producer, director, and this was just as we were coming out of COVID, and I was like, wow, and Wakim Zenge and Nick Ndeda were in that show, and I was like, wow, there's so much talent here in Kenya. And at that time I had only just started Mindfulness Music and More on Capital FM, and I was like, is there another way we can talk about mental health that is accessible to Kenyans? And the one thing I find about us Kenyans is we love storytelling. We love to tell a story, right? And we are
Yes, we
very
do.
animated about how we tell our stories and stuff. So I Googled mental health stories, mental health plays, and the Manic Monologues came up. And it was written by a guy called Zach Burton in Stanford University in the States. And I just emailed him out of the blue, and I said, I'm in Kenya. I want to put this play on. What will it take? So he wrote back and he said, it's amazing. I have contacts in Kenya. Would love to find a way to get you to do this. This is the license fee. You pay the license and you can put it on. So I knew Mugambi Nthiga because he had been in my Engage cohort and he'd also been my first guest on Mindfulness Music and More. So I just called him and I said, let's meet for coffee. So he came for coffee and I said, Mugambi, I want you to direct the show for me. Here it is. And he looked at it and you could see like, he was like, wow, okay, this is very intriguing, but it's going to be tough. And I said, I'll produce it. I've never done anything like this, but I don't know the Kenyan theatre scene. And he said, he took the script away, he thought about it, he went to Kilifi, he read it, and then a few weeks later, and he had already committed in a way. He'd said, yes, I'll do it, but let me read the script. But, I think I'll do it, but let me read the script. But in my head, I was like, he's going to do it, whether he likes it or not. He came back and he said, I already know who I want in the cast. These are the people. And it was Nick Deda, Charles Jauda, Vikash Patni, and Elsafan Jora. I mean, superstar. And then Nyokafi Macharia, Audi Roa, Julissa Rowe, and Wakio Mzenge.
Yeah.
So we had 8 of like the best in Kenya. I mean, it was
You
incredible. And we put the show on. We did rehearsals for 3 weeks. The show went on. We sold out 4 shows, had a VIP guest show, and we had 5 standing ovations. Yeah. And we've just won 3 awards at the Kenya Theatre Awards.
Yes, they did. Congratulations on that. Congratulations to
Thank
you and
you.
the team.
Thank you. I mean, gosh, I couldn't have done it without Mugambi and a stellar cast. I think we also never mentioned the crew. I had an amazing crew. So I had Henry Wamai, who is our stage manager and technical guy, and Essie Noella, who did a lot of the running around for us. I think we never mentioned them enough because they did an amazing job. It was a team effort.
Sure.
And we're looking to do a Manic Monologues Kenya, but we are. I don't know where we're with that at the moment, but I'd like to just have Kenyan stories and do it again next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing.
Really amazing.
I'm looking forward to the Kenyan Manic Monologues.
Yeah, so mental health stories from Kenyans from across the board, not just Nairobi. So I'd love to take this around the country and get stories from people around the country, from all age groups, from all kind of socio-demographic. I think it'd be really interesting to see what is really happening to the mental health of our nation, and then tell some of those stories. Maybe put some in a book and put some on stage by the best of the best in theatre.
Amazing. Amazing.
I'm really, really wowed. The fact that you just thought about it and sent out an email.
And
Don't
did
even
it.
overthink it. We need such energy all the
Do
time.
I?
There are times will he really reply? Should I send it? Should I not send it?
But also, Mary,
just
if he
have
didn't
to do it.
reply, then,
Yes.
that's fine. Then that was kind of a done deal. But he did, and he replied so positively. Like, what can I do to make this happen? And how can I help?
Wow.
And also, I mean, in everything they write about the Manic Monologues at the moment on LinkedIn and all their press and everything, they're mentioning the Kenyan Manic Monologues because we're now award winning.
Sure.
And also that, it was so. The one fear I had that could have stopped me was, is the Kenyan audience ready for this? And then I was like, oh, stuff it. If they're not, they won't come. but they came.
did. They did, and they turned up in large numbers.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think I have a question that's
Ask.
how do you know that you found love?
How do I
Thank you for asking for many of us.
Because there are a lot of notions that we get, a lot of experiences from people. A personal Jay Shetty fan, and listening to his podcasts. There's a podcast where he talks about how we say the words "I love you" too early without actually knowing the person. So I'd really love to know now, since you are in a successful love space and love bubble.
Okay, so
I
I'll tell you
want that
both
too.
my stories. So with Jeremy, he told me he loved me first. And I remember it was in the kitchen in the house I was living in England. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then I only told him, like, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks later that I loved him because I had to be sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then with Amar, who I'm with now, within a month of us dating, he said, I think I'm in love with you. And I went, oh my God, what are you talking about? And the poor guy, he just looked at me, he's like, okay, Shal, it's okay, don't worry.
Relax. Chill.
And then 6 weeks later, I told him I loved him. And I think I've known Amar since we were kids. We've known each other for a long time. I never thought I'd fall in love with a Muindi guy because they have so many, issues. But for me, love is once those, like, I can't say the butterflies go because every time Amar comes home, I still have butterflies in my stomach. And we've been together 3.5 years. Even Jeremy, like 19 years, he'd come and pick me up from the train station after a day of work and I would be like butterflies in my stomach. So for me, it's knowing that I want to be with this person for the rest of whatever our destiny is. I can't say our lives because I thought I was going to be with Jeremy for the rest of our life and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So whatever our destiny is, the fact that he has my back no matter what and I have his back no matter what, and the fact that he puts me first and I know that he loves me because he puts me first and I put him first. So for me, love is, does that person treat you well? Are they there for you? Will they put you first above all, above their family, above everyone else? Which society doesn't like to hear. Oh my gosh, you're asking a young man to put you above his mother or his father? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the Bible says it, right? That when you get married, the first people you should be looking towards is each other above all else.
Sure.
So for me, we're not married, but I expect that from him and I do the same for him. So will he, and does he treat you? So the 3 things I look for in a man are kindness. Is he kind? Is he smart? Okay, and I don't mean he has to be like amazingly smart, but smart enough to be on your level. And is he funny? Will he make you laugh? Yeah, when
Nice.
things are bad, will he make you laugh? And I'm very lucky to say I had that in Jeremy, and I definitely have that in Omar. So yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yes. Thing is, you from every answer you take
A little bit.
a little
Yeah.
thing, and you try apply 1, 2, 3 things in what is happening in your life. And yes, the fact
Love,
that I have
love
something
is just
to
a
apply.
word, right? It's
It's
do
just a
you
word.
feel love? And that's different. To actually feel from the very, like, in your bones that you can't live without this guy, that you can't live without this person, that you're excited to see them at the end of the day. You want to share. The first person you want to tell something to is that
It's
person, right? You want to share every experience. You are happy whether you are flying away to Dubai for a holiday or sitting on the sofa watching TV together. That it doesn't matter what you're doing, you want to be with this person.
Okay.
And yet you're happy enough that they have their own, they go to work, they have their own friends, and you have your own life and you have your own. But I'm quite happy just being with him. So for me, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's innate knowing. It's hard to, and I knew at 21, I knew that Jeremy was the one. And then that's why I was able to stand up against my family, because I just knew.
Man, amazing. Well, I want to ask, you describe exercising and dancing as an exercise of the body and mind.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell us how important is physical exercise to our mental health well-being.
Yeah, so we are holistic beings. So we are our mind, our body, and our spirit. If one of the things is out of sync, then the other will be out of sync. So remember when I said that when we suppress our emotions, it's our
Sprouts
mental
of a
and our emotional
disease.
body causes physical disease.
Disease,
So in my happiness book, I talk about how we look after all three aspects. And exercise, eating well, and sleeping are the three main key things that you need to. This nonsense of I can survive on 4 hours sleep. It's
yeah.
nonsense, because your body needs
To
at
recover.
least 6 to 10 hours to recover, depending on your body type and your age, etc. And it needs time for recovery, and your mind needs time for recovery as well. So that's really important. Eating as well is really important. What are you putting in your body? I recently gave up alcohol and meat. And giving up the alcohol wasn't that hard, actually, because it's just like we live in a country that has amazing juices and stuff. Giving up the meat has been tough. Really tough. I love my steak, I love my bacon, I love so that has been tough. But the way I look at it is I want to put into my body, I want to feed my body what I know is nutritional. And from an energetic point of view, and this is talking a bit energy basis, if I eat a carrot and I eat a piece of bacon, which has more energy? A carrot,
has
because
higher vibrations.
it's got the higher vibrations, whereas bacon is dead.
True.
It's dead meat. Even though the
True.
carrot is it's still got that better energy. So if I put dead energy into my body, then I'm creating dead energy. I don't want to house dead energy.
Wow.
So same with alcohol, right? Alcohol is a deadening energy. It
Yes.
alivens you for a while,
Yes.
but then eventually it's a suppressant. So I don't want to put that in my body anymore.
Wow.
I love my sleep. I sleep 8 hours. If I don't sleep 8 hours, I'm very grumpy. And then exercise is very much about being in that zen state. And many people will get into that zen state when they're running or on a
Dancing,
treadmill or
playing.
playing a game or walking in nature. For me, it's dancing. And it's very much about you're just in that moment.
That
and
flow state.
It's a very flow state. You're releasing endorphins, which are good hormones for your body, and that's helping your body. So it's all linked, huh? You can't say if my body's amazing, but everything else, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It has to be holistic. You have to look after yourself holistically.
Are you still dancing? You still dance?
Very little. And it's funny because just yesterday I was like, I'm going to choreograph this dance, and I wrote a dance. I'm starting again.
Nice,
But I don't
nice.
teach. I've decided not to teach. I'm looking at a different path. Yeah. But we all dance. I mean, if you don't dance, what's the point of life?
What's the point?
Do you
Well,
dance, Sammy?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
A lot. A lot.
Good for you.
I do dance a lot. And I don't know if you have another question before we get to the quick fire questions
Oh,
and the
gosh,
challenge.
There's a quick fire question.
And
I
a
didn't know that. You didn't
challenge.
tell me, and a challenge.
We have a challenge for you.
Okay.
I think I just wanted to comment on what she said, because I think as young people, at times we need to realize that alcohol is not for everyone. You know, we usually have that pressure when you're going out.
Yes, you must
have
drink.
to be tipsy, you have to take shots in order for you to feel the moment. And at times you get swamped
Yeah.
in that feeling, knowing very well that you don't like. I personally don't like alcohol.
Okay.
But I've taken it a number of times because I'm in a social setting and I need to be as fun as these other
Yeah.
people are.
Who's to say you're not fun without the alcohol, right?
Who
And that's
is
the
he?
problem, right? That's,
True.
I'm taking you back to that
Association.
word. It's conditioning.
Conditioning.
Yeah, we're conditioned to think we're not as pretty or as funny or
As
as smart
happy.
or as happy if we don't have the alcohol. But actually, I mean, okay, one of the reasons I stopped drinking was as I get older, it takes me 3 days to get over a glass of wine. You know?
A glass of
Whereas
wine.
when I was younger, you know, I could drink with the rest of them. But I choose not to do that anymore. It's really interesting. We went to a party recently, and I said, "No, thank you. I don't want any wine." And this older woman said to me, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "I don't." I said, "I don't drink anymore." And she goes, "Oh, okay. It's okay if you don't drink anymore." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's okay." And then I said, "Yeah, I'll have the vegetarian biryani." And she goes, "You don't eat meat?" And I said, "No." And she looked at me as if I'd gone crazy here.
Whoa, you're
know.
going with the extremes.
Yeah, so I was like, and then I came home and I said to Amar, I was like, she looked at me as if I was crazy, you know, but people judge you
Yeah,
like when you don't drink, and
measure,
but
measure.
actually now I'm like, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You really have to be at peace with these things.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And you have like to be resolute with your decisions,
Yeah.
because you keep getting offers and temptations.
I know. I went to Amar's mom's house the other day. I've only just turned vegetarian. She said, "Oh, I've made chicken for you," and I was
Oh,
like,
my Lord.
"We don't eat chicken anymore." And she said, "Since when?" I said, "We were here last week," and we said we. And she goes, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, people just forget because
Yes.
they don't think you could be vegetarian, you know. So.
Okay.
But I'm not saying to everybody to go vegetarian, but I would definitely tell the youth, think about your alcohol consumption, because all you're doing is killing your gray brain cells. And I wish I hadn't drunk. I mean, I didn't drink that much, not as much as Amar, my partner. I mean, when I first met him, every story of his started with,
I was
smashed.
drinking. I was wasted.
I was like, if I'd known you when you were younger, I would have not liked you at all.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Well, so before we get into the quick fire question, we want you to say a tongue twister that we will give you.
I hope it's not in Swahili. My Swahili is really bad.
Yeah, we know your Saheli is bad, so
It's like
it's
shocking.
English. We have English. We have an English tongue twister, and the tongue twister is which switched the Swiss wristwatches. Which switched the Swiss
Yeah, I can't even
wristwatches.
say that. Which switched the Swiss watches? I can't.
Which
Can I
switched-
choose my own one?
Yes.
Okay. You ready?
Uh-huh.
I haven't done this for a long time, so I hope I remember. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. Pecker pickle pepper. Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper, where's the peck of pepper? Pickled pepper. Peter Piper
Whoa.
picked.
Wow.
She can
That
rap.
I can't. She can rap.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a rap song, I'll do that bit.
You do a rap
I'll
song.
do that bit.
Just
Absolutely. Of course I'm gonna do. If you say come do a rap song, I'll be okay if I can. Peter Piper.
Nice. I wrote you a rap verse.
Really?
Imagine I wrote you a rap verse.
I'm getting really scared. You should have sent me this before. By the way, I am shocking at music. For a dancer,
Yes.
I can't sing.
rap, but you can
I
rap.
can't even hear a tone in
Well,
my.
let me rap for you.
Cool.
Hiya.
Come on.
We're chilling with Shalini, speaking about life facts, waking my kundalini, trying to figure out why I'm always in my feelings and why I can't take a break from making my shillings. We're talking about mental health. I see you going through hell. I hope you're doing well. You're a warrior, yeah, I can tell. Just whom? If you don't know about her, just tune to mindfulness, meditation, and more. And more? You want to know more? She have a bad-ass mindset. Not all about that nonsense. About mental health, she's enthusiastic. Amazon bestseller, TEDx speaker, engaged talk speaker, 21 dates. She's a record breaker. She a dancer, she a teacher, a TV and radio host, award-winning executive producer. It's time to give you your flowers, Shalini.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. I've never had a rap written for me. I feel like this is a red letter day, man. You've got to record that and
I
put it
will
on the
record
app.
and send
Yeah.
you. Yes, I will record and send
That
you.
is so
I'll
cool.
even get the beats, some good beats.
Have it as
That
an
is so
intro.
cool.
Whenever you bring
Yeah.
one to stage.
I'll be like, hang on, I need to clear it
Shalini,
out.
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
god,
yes.
that is so cool.
Now we'll go to the quick fire questions.
Okay, I'm scared. Let's do it.
Yes. Let's
I've
do
just
it.
had a rap written about me. I can do anything.
For sure.
So I'll ask you 4 questions. She's gonna ask you 4 questions.
Okay.
Yes. So the first one I will ask you is, what is your zodiac sign?
Oh, I'm Virgo.
Virgo. Nice. I want to know, what is the very first thing you do when you wake up?
I actually get up. I get up and I go and make myself a cup of tea.
Not Instagram.
No,
Wow. Okay.
cup of tea first. Why is everybody else Instagram?
Yes, everybody else checks their Instagram.
No, I
your
go.
phone.
Yeah, and if normally if Amar is still sleeping, then I might say, "Can you make me a cup of tea, please?" But if I don't have tea first thing in the morning, I can't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes I
Nice.
just get
Chai,
up and
chai.
like proper chai. When I get up, sometimes Amar has made me tea, so I just get up, I prop myself, I switch the light on, and I sit there with my tea. But tea's the first thing.
Nice. What aspects of Bollywood would you want us to bring to Kenya?
Bollywood,
Yes.
the song and dance.
The song and dance. I love this song and these songs and dancing.
I mean the dancing and Kenyans have great rhythm, right? Fantastic dancers, fantastic singers, like the beats and stuff. Could you imagine marrying
Yes, that would be amazing.
the two? It'd be cool.
Okay.
Wow. The next question I want to ask you is, would you be open to date someone younger than you?
Absolutely,
Way
I
younger.
already have.
Oh, yes.
So I was 42 and I dated, I think, a 33-year-old.
Mm.
When you talked
and
about the one who walked out.
yeah,
When you-
yeah, he was younger than me. And Amar is 3 years younger than me.
Wow. The last one that I'm going to ask you is how you deal with the feedback you get, because you have a story and a half. It's not your normal day story. And the moment like your story is posted, people will react differently. I've seen people encouraged, people motivated by the way you are open and because of the way you talk about things that you talk about, and other people are like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
These things, are we glorifying these things in
Yeah.
our society? I want to know how you
I
deal
get
with
trolled
that.
quite a lot.
Yes.
So I think I was on Spice FM, and then the story got picked up by Tuko, and then I was told, "Oh my God, she slept with 21 men and all that
That's
nonsense."
Tuko News story.
And I was just like, you know what, you guys, that's your that's sorry, I can't say it, but that's
Yes.
your nonsense to deal with. I
Yes.
know my story. I know I'm authentic, and I'm not ashamed of my life. I've made mistakes, but I'm
Yeah.
not ashamed.
Damn.
So hate is gonna hate, right?
Nice.
So and if you're gonna hate, then Chariako.
You do? Your questions?
Best advice you've been given.
Best advice is oh my gosh, that's a hard one. I'm going to actually say it's something I've learned for myself, that life is short, and if and this has come from like various teachings and learnings. Life is short, and if you don't like a job, don't stay in it. If you're not happy in a relationship, don't stay in it. Do not settle for less. Work hard, do your best, and expect more for yourself in life, because life is short.
Amazing.
Okay. Favorite Kenyan food?
Oh, without a doubt, sukuma wiki and
Not
ugali.
chapati?
No, sukuma. Chapati is very Indian, by the way.
Yeah.
But sukuma wiki and ugali, yeah, I love it.
Oh, favorite Kenyan destination?
The coast, and well, actually, and Nanyuki now. So Nanyuki has always felt very spiritual to me. We have a small shamba there, so we're looking to live between Nanyuki and Nairobi. So definitely that. But to chill and do nothing and just absorb nature, coast. Without, oh my God, we're so lucky, so lucky.
Nice. My last question would be, what do you think every young person should know?
That this is your life. You will make mistakes, but live it fully, live it compassionately, and we're not immortal. Life is precious, so make the most of every day, and stop taking it so seriously. Life it can be fun if we let it be.
Yeah.
So I wish I'd known that as a young person. I wish I hadn't taken things so seriously as a young person.
Wow.
Okay.
Don't take things so seriously.
Enjoy life, guys.
Enjoy life, right?
Yeah.
Well, we have had an amazing 2 hours. Hata sijui zimeisha aje, people. But this has been one of the best mental health Wednesday that I have hosted. And for our 4 o'clock news, we have Majimbo Katie Shell coming right here on the microphone. And Mary OWINO.
Parting shots.
Yeah, just say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you, Shalini, for
Thank you for
honoring
having
our
me.
invites.
Yes.
And we look forward to more of such conversations.
Amazing.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shalini. We hope to have you back again.
Definitely.
Yes. And goodbye. This has been the Quorum Show on 254.